Hi, welcome to the DC Marvel Battlecast, where we discuss all things DC and Marvel related and debate who would win in versus battle matchups. My name is John.
And I'm Joe.
Formerly known as the DC Defender and Captain Marvel. We decided not to do those nicknames.
Yeah, we had a few people tell us that our voices sound too much alike and they can't distinguish between us, and only through context are they able to kind of get the gist of who's saying what. So we figure if we change our names to incorporate our real names, John and Joe, it might be just a little bit easier that way, I guess.
So henceforth...
instead of DC Defender, plus DC Defender kind of seemed like you were having to defend your position a lot. Like it kind of made it seem like you thought DC sucked. I don't know.
What? No, I just like alliteration.
So what name are you going to go by now?
Johnny DC, which is highly appropriate, I think. It was the name of DC's mascot way back when they used this old logo. I think it was... oh, geez. Now my knowledge is being tested. I'm going to say the 40s and 50s, but I could be completely wrong. I think it was the 40s and 50s.
Okay. But basically it was the DC Comics logo with like a head and arms and legs.
Yeah, and he had like a graduation cap. I don't know why. Right. I don't know.
But also Johnny DC was the kind of like the DC Comics line for kids as well later on.
Yeah, later on. Yep.
Yeah, so
Yep.
Like, so it would be like the Adventures of Superman comics.
It was like based off the animated series cartoons, essentially. A lot of them were. Yeah.
Those comics. Okay, those were the Johnny DC line of comics. So yeah, that works.
What's your nickname?
I have nothing like that, so I'm gonna go by Marvelous Joe.
Marvelous Joe.
Mainly just because I'm marvelous.
Is that like a take on Beautiful Joe from the game?
No.
What was the name? Was the name of the game Beautiful Joe?
Yeah, the game was called Beautiful Joe, but I'll go by Marvelous Joe because that's marvelous and Joe, my name. And it's kind of like calling calling myself Mr. Fantastic. Like the Thing was like, oh, I'm a horrible monster. I'm gonna call myself the Thing. I'm gonna call what Sue called me, the Thing. And then Mr. Fantastic was like, that's cool. I'm Mr. Fantastic. Like,
I never thought of that.
It sounds kind of dickish, but yeah, I can't think of anything else. So it's gonna be Johnny DC and Marvelous Joe.
That works.
That's what we're gonna call ourselves. I think it's better.
One episode after our first episode, just one turnaround. Yeah.
So in the next episode, stay tuned for what our names are going to be then. Wow. Also, Jay, one of our commenters on the last podcast, was talking about how Captain Marvel was originally DC's Captain Marvel.
Well, yeah.
Which was out of the lawsuits of all the Superman clones that were out there, the Fawcett Captain. Or from Fawcett Comics.
Yeah, there was a commenter on our SoundCloud.
Yeah, SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So anyway, and plus Captain Marvel right now, Marvel is a girl, so...
Oh, what do you have against women, Joe? Marvelous Joe.
Nothing. I think it's fine. Marvelous Joe is fine. Anyway, enough about our names.
I do want to make clear right off the bat that, like, I'm sick, so my voice is kind of sore throat. It's not all the way there. So if I start hacking up a lung, I'll try and cut that out, and I apologize.
Let's see. So on today's podcast, before as we started, the song was "Bohemian Rhapsody" by Queen. Album available on iTunes. I think. We were trying to pick which album to include, but it's like that song is on all their greatest hits albums, so you won't have a hard time finding it. Yeah. It is a fantastic song. It was included on the new Suicide Squad trailer that came out a couple weeks ago. It's
my go-to karaoke song, and right off the bat when that trailer started, and they started off with that song, I was like, oh, this is the greatest trailer ever already. This is and he used the song really well.
Yeah, he used it really well. It did.
So I guess we start off with that.
Yeah, let's start off with that news.
So the Suicide Squad trailer debuted on the 19th, January 19th, a few days after we did our first podcast. It was with the DC's television special, Dawn of the Justice League, hosted by Kevin Smith and Jeff Johns. when they went to the Suicide Squad section of that show, they debuted the new trailer. So I think that's when everyone saw it first, and it was great. It was the first Suicide Squad trailer was really great.
It was a little dark.
It was dark. This one,
I'm sure the movie is dark, but it was darker.
Yeah,
the first trailer was darker.
This one made it look really fun. Like, I don't know if it was just the music. It definitely just wasn't the music. It was just, all the scenes that we saw was funny. It's definitely, a lot of people are comparing it to like Guardians of the Galaxy, sort of like this is like DC's Guardians of the Galaxy.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna give you shit about that.
What?
It is almost. They are so ripping off the style of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not fun. They have the 70s pop song play through the trailer. The movie is about a bunch of, outlaws kind of forming a team together to save the world. Or in the Guardians of the Galaxy's case, the galaxy.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Okay.
All right, he's squinting. He's giving me the death stare right now.
I disagree, sir. Okay. So I think that
you cannot deny that the Guardians of the Galaxy marketing and even premise influenced this movie, this movie's marketing, and this movie even getting the green light.
I don't know if it gave it the green light. I still think, because one of the biggest things about DC. One of the biggest things DC has going for it is its villains are, I would say, a little bit more well known than Marvel's. I would say Joker is probably like the most famous villain like worldwide, and I think
more than
who?
Oh, I guess
worldwide.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring it. Who? That's right. No one. Joker's the best.
Loki.
He's the top. No.
Magneto.
No. Joker is
Green Goblin.
Definitely the most well-known villain. I think definitely the most celebrated villain, which is kind of weird because I don't know. But I think just the appeal of seeing some of DC's. I mean, they're definitely not DC's most popular supervillains, but you have Harley Quinn, you have Killer Croc. A lot of people know those characters from the animated series. Harley Quinn actually started off as a character on the animated series, and then the appeal of Deadshot.
Why did I turn off your phone?
Is that mine? No, that was totally mine.
Sorry, Jonathan has to turn off his phone, or Johnny DC. Sorry.
Where was I? Sorry. So. Harley Quinn came from the animated series, and just the draw of Will Smith, Deadshot. I think the characters are more recognizable than Guardians of the Galaxy, because even when they announced Guardians of the Galaxy, like as a former Marvel fan, I was like, who the hell is that? Sorry. Yeah, my phone keeps going off. I just muted everything, so it should be good.
Amateur hour.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think that Suicide Squad is more well known than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, okay. You don't think the characters of Suicide Squad are more well known than what was before Guardians of the Galaxy came out?
Maybe because there wasn't a Guardians of the Galaxy cartoon prior to the movie, and they only showed up in like guest spots on like some of the episodes of Spider-Man and things like that.
What? They didn't show up. When?
Not the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, I'm talking about like Ultimate Spider-Man. They showed up after the movie was greenlit in a way to kind of promote.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Get kids to know the characters a little bit. Okay, so I won't say that they were more well-known, but I will say that they are both in the realm of vague. Like C-listers, B-listers.
But see, the thing is, I wonder if I would consider Killer Croc a C-lister. I don't think I would.
Harley Quinn and Killer Croc.
Harley Quinn's
Harley
Quinn is
popular.
An A-lister for sure. Joker is an A-lister for sure. Killer Croc is probably more well known than Deadshot, I would say.
But gauging their popularity is conjecture. For the most part, because we can't speak intelligently about that without
doing a poll.
Worldwide survey.
Yeah. Anyway.
They're both pretty big, though.
Just, the trailer it was different from what I thought it was going to be. I think the only David Ayer film I've seen is, I think, Training Day. I think he directed that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he did. And I liked that. This is really colorful. It's really fun, but it's still dark. It still has that sort of like DC cinematic brand, I think. And I'm really looking forward to it. There was,
Which is dark.
I think it kind of adopts its brand from the Christopher Nolan films. I don't want to say dark. I want to say more realistic. Although this just from this trailer, it wasn't that realistic. It's less poppy, I would definitely say. Oh shit, I can't exactly say that either because this trailer was pretty poppy. Dark. We'll just go with dark, but not like in a negative way.
What did you think of? Who is going to be the bad guy? Do you think?
Oh, in Suicide Squad?
Yeah. Oh, actually, real quick.
Okay.
The character, I don't know who it was. He was ripping apart the train.
Mm-hmm.
Groot.
What?
Looked like Groot to me. I was like, what the fuck is Groot doing in this trailer?
What? I do have a theory about that.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean,
it's not spoiler territory if you're just.
No, it's just a theory. So anyone who's keeps up on superhero news knows that Common is playing the tattooed man in Suicide Squad.
Oh, so they're ripping off Elektra now.
What?
I'm just kidding.
No one wants to rip that, you piece of shit. No, so there's a character in DC Comics called the Tattooed Man, and one version of him, he's allowed to. There's like 3 different versions, I think. One version of him, he's able to like create anything from the ink on his body. He's like covered in tattoos, but just there were some strange, like weird, like slimy black stuff in the trailer. It was very inky to me. I think that it has something to do with the Tattooed Man. I think he might be the villain. There's rumors out there that it's like Enchantress might be the villain, just because like you never see her in the group shots. Like when they're like out in the city like fighting things, she's never with them, and she's possessed by this demon, and she could potentially be the villain. Like in the very first story arc of Justice League Dark, Enchantress is in that comic in the New 52, and she was sort of like the villain of the first arc. They might be going that route, but I think there's something to like the Tattooed Man. I think there's something to the Joker having all of these tattoos all over his body. I think it's gonna, and Diablo being covered in tattoos. I think there's something supernatural that comes with those tattoos. If you take a look at that train scene where like someone's like splitting the train, I don't know why, I just get a Joker vibe from it. I could be completely just talking out of my ass. Well, there was a lot of like greens and purples. Yeah. I wonder if like the tattoos transform Joker into something, and I have no idea. That's just my theory. And I haven't heard it anywhere else, so I don't know, just speculation. I don't know how I would feel about a supernatural Joker. I think that would be really stupid, but I can't, that's what I saw.
I don't think he's supernatural.
I hope not. But I do think it's something to do with the tattoo.
It would be cool to see if there was any type of functionality to the tattoos, though, because I'm not a huge fan of the tattoos. I don't hate them.
The first image I saw of the Joker,
they make him look tougher than he would without him.
Yeah. More gritty. When I first the first image I saw of the Joker, when I don't know if you remember the shot. So it's sort of like reminiscent of the Killing Joke cover, or not the Killing Joke cover. When
that's the camera.
Yeah, when the Joker comes out of the chemical pool and he's like holding his head, holding his hair, he just has this crazy eyes. Yeah. When I first saw that, like, I didn't see, like, the news didn't pop up that Jared Leto was the first image of him as the Joker was released. Like, it was just like some sidebar on a website I was visiting. I think it was IGN. And so I was scrolling, and sometimes like every once in a while, and like you'll see like just like these thumbnails from like horror films. I'm like, oh, that's from a scary movie. Keep scrolling. but then like I saw, the news, so when I clicked on it, I was like, holy shit, the thing I saw earlier was the freaking Joker. How terrifying, how scary. A lot of people like thought that like Heath Ledger's Joker was kind of, scary-ish. Like, you don't want kids to see him because he sticks knives in people's mouths and stuff like that. But this Joker, yeah, he has tattoos, but he looks like really, really intense. Like, I remember seeing this meme that came out pretty recently. I think it was like it was saying Cesar Romero's Joker was LSD. It's very like colorful, and then Jack Nicholson's drug equivalent was spoiler it was cocaine cocaine, just like really energetic, and then Heath Ledger's drug equivalent was heroin, because he's just like kind of like I don't know, a downer kind of, and Jared Leto's was meth, and he is much more
methy.
I don't know.
Maybe that's how he lost his teeth, not to getting them punched out, but to the meth.
No, I mean,
do you think?
I forget where I was going with the drug analogy. I just thought it really fit, because when I saw that, it threw me off, but like not in a bad way. Like, I wasn't turned off by it. I was very, very much intrigued, just because I think of how scary and intense it looked, which is what the Joker should be.
You know what I think? I think it would be funnier if the damaged tattoo on the forehead was in reverse text. That way, it would be straight for him when he looked in the mirror. I don't know. I just thought, like, screw you guys. I don't care. Because it just seems so weird for him to have the word damaged on his forehead. I just thought it would be funnier if it was reversed, so that it was more amusing to him than to anybody else. I don't know. Do you think that green toxic pool that he jumps in
and pulls her out of?
Do you think that's a meth pool?
Yeah, that's an interesting scene. It's a beautiful scene, for sure.
What do you mean beautiful?
It's a beautiful scene.
You use that word way too much.
Beautiful?
Yeah.
That's like the first time I've used it. What are you talking about? No.
Choose a different word. What do you mean by beautiful? Explain.
When he's pulling her...
Are you talking about the cinematography? Or
the cinematography, and just when he's like pulling her out of it, it was just like, that's like a beautiful shot.
Okay.
And then I think it's the birth of Harley Quinn. I think it's a flashback.
Yeah. Interesting. You know what I think the best part of the trailer was? Something that really caught my eye, in fact, was the lettering.
Oh, the title?
The title, like, and also like these bad guys are the worst, or what was
worst heroes ever.
I'm stupid.
Yeah.
Worst heroes ever. Just the kind of the kinetic energy that they had, and the hyper realistic appearance, and the neon glow of everything.
It's very pink and blue.
It was very dynamic, and
I liked it. Yeah.
I think that was probably one of my favorite parts of the trailer, was just the title, the lettering, and everything. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, the titling was.
I haven't seen too much of that before.
I don't know why it's so. I think.
Why is it so appealing?
I think a majority of like. Have you ever seen like? I saw this YouTube video comparing like modern day posters to each other, and it's like lots of blues and oranges, because like contrasting colors are very like appealing. Yeah. So like every single movie poster, contrasting, they complement each other. But this, I think you still have that same complement here with the blue and the pink.
Greens. There's green in there.
A little bit of green.
It's a lot of neon, and I think just the contrast with that bright splash of color upon the dark cinematography of the scenes.
Yeah.
But those scenes are also sprinkled, like the weird tattoo guy, if that's what we want to call him, the Groot looking guy. it's like darkness but sprinkled with splashes of color that creates this really vibrant kind of feel.
Yeah. I mean, if that scene didn't have that color, it wouldn't look as fun. And this movie looks like a lot of fun. Just the acting too. The acting I thought was. I noticed that Harley Quinn didn't have her like New York accent. Her New York accent.
Yeah.
Which I guess I don't care. It just like I noticed it. I was like, oh, she doesn't have it. But I still love Margot Robbie.
New Jersey. I thought it was a New Jersey accent.
Some New England.
That's not New England.
Jersey. No, I guess you're right. Yeah. I guess it's Jersey. I don't know.
Either way, she doesn't have it.
Some East Coast, Northeast Coast.
I did not know. I was surprised that Margot Robbie had a British accent. British?
What?
See, I'm so horrible with accents. She has a British accent.
Yeah.
I noticed that. That was my first time I ever knew that when I was watching the DCEU special last week.
Mm-hmm. I think she's Australian.
Australian?
I think so.
It was subtle, whatever it was. Maybe that's why it was hard for me to tell. I felt like it was a very subtle.
I watch her be English. I don't know.
She's probably.
I feel like so many actors that I thought were English are actually Australian. Like Cate Blanchett is Australian.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
I didn't know that. I don't know. Yeah.
We're dumb Americans.
You can't recognize accents. I feel like
We kind of have an accent. I thought from listening to the last podcast.
What?
It's not like because we're from Colorado, which has a standard American accent. We don't put any stress on any vowels or anything. But you and I, due to being twins, we have a kind of mumble accent.
Yeah, I've been told I mumble a lot, and I think it's just kind of because just growing up, like just us speaking to each other, we had a shorthand, and I can mumble something and you totally understand what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Which makes us perfect for a podcast.
Right?
Anyway,
it's just to wrap up the Suicide Squad trailer. I really liked it. I don't know what else I want to see next.
I don't want to see anything.
I just want to see the movie. It looks so good.
Like how we mentioned with Civil War last podcast.
Right.
I think the Civil War trailer was good enough to leave me sufficiently hyped for the movie. Like I don't need to see anything else.
I think there's a point where like they almost oversell it.
They've definitely done that with Batman vs Superman.
How dare you?
They definitely have.
Here's the thing with that trailer. I was explaining this to someone the other day. Footage from Batman v Superman was... They went into Batman v Superman during the special. And they didn't really show that much new footage.
No.
I don't think. But the thing about the second trailer that everyone's complaining about is it wasn't for the same audience as the Comic-Con trailer. It was for the audience... I think it was for an older audience. The people who loved the Batman 60s TV show, who now they're like, oh, why are Batman and Superman fighting? I don't understand. Kind of thing. It was, because I had to show them that, like, hey, at the end, they're not going to stay enemies. And that was on the synopsis for the film. In the synopsis for the film, it says that they joined forces and take on a bigger threat.
So why name the movie Batman vs Superman? Why isn't it called Batman and Superman? Or like World's Finest?
Because I think I think Batman vs Superman as a title is a greater appeal than World's Finest.
World's Finest coffee. World's Finest. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was for a different audience, a different market. I think it was also appealing to more probably to women, just because they really wanted to get Wonder Woman in there and say, show women, hey, we have this powerful woman figure in our universe, and she's going to debut in this movie. Come see it. Come see her.
Speaking of Wonder Woman, what did you think of the new footage from that special?
I like it.
It looks like the whole movie is going to take place during the World War One, the early 20th century.
I don't know about that.
Because every single shot was from that time period. I didn't see any shot in the modern day.
It might be. To me, it looked like a mixture between Captain America, the First Avenger.
Yeah, it looks super heavily inspired by the first Captain America movie.
And what was the other one? Oh, shoot. There was another one I thought it reminded me of. But yeah, definitely Thor. Okay, so it's like, because Wonder Woman is sort of like DC's Thor, like you're in this, god-like realm, with like these like powerful people, and then like bringing that character into the man's world, like Thor was in Arizona, New Mexico.
It was New Mexico.
Yeah. So yeah, it sort of seems like it's taking like it's a mixture between Thor and Captain America.
Well, thank you for admitting to that ripoff. I want to apologize. The last podcast I said Connie Nielsen was a GILF and that she had to be over 60, but that's only because I assumed that both she and Russell Crowe were in their 40s at the time of Gladiator, but it turns out they were in their early 30s, so she's only 50.
Burn.
So she may not be a GILF. She's younger than I thought she was. I thought
she's
she was
still
at least a decade older.
She's still in MILF.
Sure.
Demographic.
She's McGILF. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah.
You ageist.
I think the that kick that she did in the Wonder Woman footage, that was probably the coolest shot out of everything, and maybe the scene where she's on the horse riding.
Yeah.
Have I ever read a comic where Wonder Woman has ridden a horse?
She's riding a horse on the cover of Sensational Comics, her first appearance.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So she rides a horse. I still think the coolest footage I've seen of Wonder Woman comes from the Batman v Superman marketing. Just her like slamming her bracelets together or holding the shield.
See, now are they doing kind of like a Thor's hammer against Captain America's shield kind of thing right there, where she bangs them together and creates a shockwave?
No, that shockwave actually came from when Doomsday was firing his heat vision blast, and it bounces off her shield. In the second trailer, you see that. Remember?
Where she bangs her gauntlets together?
No, the banging of the gauntlets was in the Comic-Con trailer.
That's what I'm talking about.
But shockwave doesn't necessarily come from that. They cut to like the scene where like Doomsday's heat vision blast is coming off her shield. It's the scene like that, like outwardly expanding like red sort of like sphere field.
I kind of assumed she was creating a shockwave by banging them together.
Maybe, who knows?
Has she ever done that in the
comics? But we haven't seen the result of that.
That's true. So Doomsday. Since when has Doomsday had Laserface?
Laserface
as a power
comes out with his mouth and eyes. Yeah.
It seems very much like a Destroyer type thing from the Thor movie, The Destroyer. He had Laserface powers.
Yeah.
You shoot the God Force.
Yeah, I mean, and like every time people mention like, oh, I didn't want to see Doomsday. Oh, he wasn't supposed to be revealed. I'm kind of like, well, they showed the Destroyer in the Thor trailer and no one complained. It's kind of ridiculous to me. I don't understand.
That's valid.
Why people are so upset by seeing Doomsday.
It's because people.
I think. I mean, if they showed Doomsday, I would have been fine. I think one of the problems I have, I mean, and it's a small gripe because I'm still totally going to see the movie. I'm not crying or complaining. Is that they showed Superman and Batman teaming up with Wonder Woman because the movie is called Batman v Superman. You wanted to save that, and now this whole marketing push that they're doing, they just started during the Super Bowl playoffs. This hashtag Who Will Win, and they released the new posters.
It's pointless.
Yeah, because we know that they team up. Who will win? They team up. They shouldn't have shown us that. The marketing should have always been Batman v Superman.
I think so.
And again, I'm still gonna see the movie. I've seen like so much hate online about that. and not necessarily even comparing that to like this new who will win campaign, but just like even before that, where like why did they show that? And I think, I mean, there was a scene in the Super Bowl spot for the Avengers. I think that was the first time you saw them sort of like circling like all the Avengers like back to back.
Yeah.
And it's sort of that like same like showing the Trinity is sort of like that same scene. It's like the scene you're waiting for. They spoiled that in the early Avengers marketing as well.
Well, that's what we were expecting to see. We weren't expecting them to. We were expecting them to be allies, I should say.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, but like I sort of think even if I would have seen Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman side by side, that would have been fine. But I think it was the banter, the joke. If they would have cut that one thing, I think there would be so much less hate on the internet about that trailer. Just that she was you, I thought she was with you. Yeah. Because it does show like some sort of like cordiality. Is that a word?
No.
Okay, it's a word now. Just some friendliness. And yeah, and again, I think that including that in the trailer, I think whoever is doing the marketing for this film was just trying to show people that like it's for a different audience.
They wanted to put a joke because Marvel movies have jokes in them, and they wanted to
put a joke for the audience who are like, oh, why are they fighting? It's like, hey, they team up. Hey, they're joking. There's some humor in here. It wasn't for me. It was for someone else. That trailer. It wasn't for the fans.
Thank you for admitting the trailer was crap.
I'm not admitting that the trailer was crap.
All right, moving on.
I still like the trailer. Okay. If they would have cut out that banter, I think people would have liked it a lot more.
All right. Just to wrap up the news regarding the DCEU special last week with Kevin Smith, what did you think of the other properties? The Flash, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Cyborg.
So the promo art, really all we got was like some concept art and some of the actors talking about just a little bit snippet about their character. Mm-hmm. Ezra Miller, he's always kind of like out there.
The Mo haircut, he had like his haircut reminded me of Mo from the Three Stooges.
He has some interesting haircuts. He has long hair and
I mean. My favorite Flash, like my favorite, I said last podcast, my favorite Green Lantern was Kyle Rayner. My favorite Flash has always been Wally West. And maybe that's just due to the period in which I was reading the DC Comics. So he reminds me, he very much seems more like Wally West to me than Barry Allen.
Mm. I don't know. Maybe we haven't seen him act anything in any way. We haven't seen him acting as the character. I think I used to be of that. I preferred Kyle Rayner. I preferred Wally West until Jeff Johns reintroduced Hal Jordan and Barry Allen in his Rebirth series. Rebirth. That's what I said.
You were like Rebirth.
Rebirth. So Green Lantern Rebirth, Flash Rebirth. And it kind of like opened my eyes. Like these are, it's something that Alex Ross always, I think, talked about. Like these are, what am I trying to say? This is who Green Lantern really is. And this is who the Flash really is. He's the scientist. The other guys are just like sidekicks. They're,
true.
So
Hal Jordan is the pilot and like the kind of he's the brave one.
Yeah, he's that archetype. He's supposed to be what Green Lantern is supposed to be.
Like the kind of the rebel pilot kind of.
Yeah, cocky. Yeah. So.
The movie I think I'm least excited for is Cyborg.
Why?
That did nothing for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I'm actually more interested in Cyborg than I am for the Flash. Just because the Flash TV show is really good right now, and I'm kind of hesitant to get a new version of that because I'm afraid it's not going to be as good. Just looking at the costume, I mean, the costume for the Flash, just going back to Ezra Miller and all that promo art when he was saying, it's it's different. It's Injustice. It reminded me of Injustice, that sort of like armored suit, which, you know, his suit is supposed to be made of like Speed Force.
Mm-hmm.
So to have it look like armor plating, I would have rather had it look like energy. Of course, then you run into the whole problem of like making it look like Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern
Which
suit.
I didn't have a problem with his suit.
I never had a problem with that suit. I think like having an armored look for Green Lantern makes more sense than having it for the Flash, personally.
I saw a concept art one time that where the Flash was wearing like a racing helmet. And I was like, oh, that makes way more sense than having like exposed skin around the face, because
a racing helmet like NASCAR?
It was kind of like a motorcycle helmet, kind of, but it was sleek. It had like a cool shape to it. I think it would have been cool if he had that, like some kind of like guard over the face kind of thing. But it made him look like a badass, kind of like a Power Ranger or something. Is that stupid? Is that dumb?
If that was a Marvel character, would you feel like they deviated too much, if they were too unfaithful from the source?
No.
How did you feel about Captain America in the Avengers when they covered up his ears?
I hated it.
Doesn't it make sense, though? I mean, the ears are a pretty sensitive part of your body.
I think the best Captain America outfit that he had was in the first movie, where he had it looked more like an army helmet. It was more inspired by the army helmet as opposed to the superhero mask, which is what he wore in the first Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm.
But in that helmet, so it had like the straps that came down.
Yeah, the chin strap.
Yeah, and so it had like the ear guards right there. I think I like it more when Cap's ears are exposed, because it just works. I think it makes more sense for the character. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I'm used to seeing him. But I guess you're right. It would make sense if they were covered. But then he wouldn't be able to hear. I don't know.
Yeah, he would.
Anyway, I just want Flash to have a racing helmet, because I think it makes him look like oh yeah, he's fast. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's plenty of time for them to.
It's made of Speed Force.
Change everything.
If he can, I don't know. You almost go into like Green Lantern realm, where like he could create a helmet out of Speed Force. What else can he create out of Speed Force? I don't know. I bet in the movie they're gonna make it like he's the smart scientist who creates his own like frictionless kind of armor kind of suit.
But his mouth, his face has friction. He needs something to cover that. I don't know. I don't know why I'm going on about this. It's important to me.
I'm sure it'll be important to a lot of people. I'm sure we'll see this argument come up again.
Do you think Green Lantern is going to be in the first iteration of the Justice League?
No. I think he'll be in Justice League Part 2.
Because it's going to be in 2 parts, right?
Right. Yeah, Justice League Part 1 and Part 2. Which doesn't really make sense to me, because Part 2 comes out like 2 years. Well, I mean, it's not so much the time span between the movies, which, I mean, if you're going to have a Part 1 and Part 2, I think like 1 year is a good time frame between the films. But there's going to be other super DC films before or between those films. I think, what was it? I can't remember off the top of my head. I think Aquaman is going to be between Justice League Part 1 and Part 2. Well, it's like, why would you do that?
Same with the Infinity War. There's going to be, I think, the Inhumans. I better look this up before I get shit for it.
No, I am going to get so much crap already.
I'm not going to look it up. Because
they're like, Margot Robbie, you think she's Australian? What a dumbass.
There is a movie that takes place in between. I think it's Inhumans. But I think it doesn't have to. It's not going to take place chronologically necessarily at the same time as that movie. It can, because if you look at like Phase 1, Marvel's Phase 1 movies, like Iron Man 2 and The Incredible Hulk took place at the same time, but Captain America took place way before that. Thor took place like right after. Like even parts of it may have taken place concurrently with the Incredible Hulk movie. So you can kind of go out of order as long as you make it clear where in the timeline things are. I think people are okay with it. Is that it for the DCEU special last week?
Let's see. There was Flash, Cyborg. They did announce that Green Lantern would be joining the Justice League later. They didn't.
I don't remember them saying that.
Yeah.
Okay.
they kept showing images of both Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. So I have a feeling that they're going to go that route.
Well, the movie's going to be called The Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
On a final note regarding the special, Kevin Smith, love the guy. He is starting to annoy me. Has he always been this hyper? Like, he was like the world's biggest cheerleader during that special. I wanted him to stop. He needed to like roll a doobie or something and calm down because...
Well, do you listen to his podcast?
Batman on Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's linked to actually from our podcast if you're listening on SoundCloud. It kind of irritated me too. He's excited for these characters, for these movies, but he was definitely acting.
Do you think part of it was trying to compensate for the extremely low energy of Jeff Johns? Because Jeff Johns was like, hey. Like, yeah.
I got that feeling too. Yeah.
He's probably trying to compensate. But I wasn't even annoyed with Jeff Johns. I was getting annoyed with Kevin Smith. It's like, dude.
I think Kevin Smith was definitely trying to like bring up the energy, bring up the, just the excitement level, just like goofy little things like, oh, hold on to his cane and zzz, kind of, with the Joker cane. And I think, and I think that's what they hired him for, Yeah.
Hype man.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay, well, the very same night of the DC comic special, they played the Captain America 75 Heroic Years special on ABC.
I didn't see that.
You didn't miss anything. It was all information that we already knew. If any of you listeners are familiar with the History Channel documentary they made about 10 years ago.
Was that 10 years ago already?
Oh, it was more than 10 years ago. They made it in like the year 2001 or 2002. It was right after 9/11, I think. What was it called?
DC, or not DC, Comic Book Superheroes Unmasked?
Comic Book
Something like that.
Unmasked, yeah. It was essentially that, but just focusing on Captain Marvel.
Captain America.
Captain America, damn it. Captain America. And, so it went through the history, and it showed, just snippets from the old comics, and it kind of went through how through the 50s era when superhero comics went out of style, and then they reemerged in the 60s with Stan Lee bringing them back in the Avengers comics.
So did they touch on other superheroes besides just Captain America?
No, not really.
So it was the history of comics as told just from that character?
It was Captain America's history, comic book history. Basically.
Do we need to know that?
Well, it's his 75th year anniversary, so not everybody knows that information, but like you and I, you would have been bored watching it because it was everything that you already knew. And they did touch upon more recent events about how he was aged and then died, and Falcon is the new Captain America.
Oh, really?
And then they announced at the end of it that Steve Rogers is coming back as Captain America. Yeah.
That's right, and they I remember seeing that artwork. He has a new shield. He has,
which I don't like.
It's the shield like cracks in half, and it has like an energy blade.
Yeah, it's like an energy blade. I remember when he had his energy shield, and it looked like his normal shield. It was made out of energy, but he could like transform the shield into like a pike or a staff or something.
Really?
Yeah, that was.
I didn't know he could do that.
That was during Avengers Forever, the like early 2000s.
Like when I picture that, I just picture like George Perez art.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it was George Perez. And so it seems like they're trying to... Don't mess with the shield. The shield is the most iconic symbol. It is just when it's, when you see it and when it's spinning and everything, it is just the coolest looking symbol.
But Falcon has that shield.
I have a tattoo of Captain America's shield on my arm.
That's right. You're going to have to get a new tattoo, man.
No.
But that's the Falcon's shield now.
Yeah, well, Falcon should give it back, probably.
But he's the new Captain America. Is Steve Rogers still going by...
I don't know. No, I guess there's going to be two Captain Americas. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't like it.
Here's the thing.
What?
You always, one of the biggest gripes you have against me, against DC, is that you say there's like 50 versions of every character. You have Superman, Supergirl, Superboy, you have a bunch of Green Lanterns, you have, Flash, Wally West Flash, Kid Flash, on and on and on. Guess what Marvel's doing? How many Hulks do you have now? How many Wolverines do you have now?
I'm not saying I'm happy about it.
Yeah, but like, you can't...
To me, Captain America will always be Steve Rogers. Sam Wilson will always be the Falcon. Bruce Banner will always be the Hulk.
Uh-huh. So you don't like Red Hulk? You don't like...
No, I don't.
Did you like Bucky's Captain America?
Yeah, well, Bucky's the Winter Soldier, so... Oh, Bucky's Captain America?
Yeah.
I didn't... I mean, like, I've been out of comics for, like, 5 years now, so I didn't read too many of those. Although, I am going to invest in a Marvel Unlimited account. Because I was going through... It's where you have access to all their comics. It's kind of like a paid Spotify account.
What?
You have access to all the music. It's a paid Marvel account. You pay $70 for the full year, and you get access to all their digital comics. Even like, Infinity Gauntlet, Marvel's, everything. All my favorite stuff.
I had never heard of that.
So I'm going to go through and I'm going to read all of John Higgins stuff, I think. Is that his name, John Higgins? His Avengers run.
Oh, he's the guy who just did Secret War.
Yeah, he just did Secret War. So I'm going to read the Avengers lead up to Secret War. I think it starts back in 2012. So I have a bit of catching up to do. But I heard it was really good. So I'm excited for it.
That is awesome. I wonder if DC has anything like that. Because I would totally do it. I would do it in a heartbeat.
They probably... It's DC. So...
Whatever.
They probably don't. Just because they suck.
I mean, just collecting digitally, I haven't seen anything like that. I usually just buy like through my app, but I wonder if I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But so Captain America's, do you wish that you just went to his like original Shield?
Yes. Well, I always knew. Okay, let's be real here. We everything always reverts back to the status quo. Maybe not at the same time, but we all knew Steve Rogers was coming back as Captain America. Even when Bucky took over as Captain America, we still knew Steve Rogers was coming back. And I think that I don't dislike change when it comes to the comic book universes, just because I know that everything is going to revert to the status quo, but I do not like the reboots. The universe reboots. Kind of like what they did with Marvel now.
Or DC 52.
Yeah, 52. I think there is still a way to change the characters to suit the writer's needs, or they can make changes as they want, but there's a way to do that within continuity, I think. I'm not sure. I think it's a way to sell comics. That's why they're trying to remap.
Well, Marvel's really only had one reboot, and it's just happening like now, like recently, because they had Marvel Now, but that wasn't really a reboot. Now it's all new, all different Marvel.
Yeah.
And with the post Secret War.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't.
Yeah, but everything like reverted back to like number ones, and
yeah.
I'm not a fan.
It feels like it's the collector mentality. I think is just not good for the industry. They go back to number ones because they want the collectors to collect like as many number ones as they can because they're so excited. I don't think it's necessarily like, and also because like I guess it's a jumping on point. It's a comfortable jumping on point for new readers.
Yeah.
But it's like, how many times do you have to go back to number one?
This is what I think they should do. I think they should, in order to keep things interesting and fresh, I think they should have new creative teams on each book every year. So like every year, do a complete creative team swap on all the titles. Listen, so that'll keep things fresh. But so when you do whatever you want to the character within the course of your year, but revert things to the status quo by the end of the year, and then that way the new writer gets a fresh start. I think I would stick with comics forever if they did that.
I don't know. So one of my favorite DC comics right now is Scott Snyder's Batman. He's been on the book a while, 4 years. I have no idea. I'm gonna get flack for that. Another one more thing. But he's been on the book for a while, and I think they just recently announced his departure. But it's not really like he's not leaving Batman. He's just switching over to Detective Comics, I believe. But like just the sprinklings he left early on in the Batman series, from like even before the New 52, and you just like sort of how that is like paying off still now. I love that. I mean, it's great for faithful, loyal readers. If you switch it up every year, you won't have
you
as many...
still get great stories, and you get jumping on points for new readers. 12-issue arcs are pretty long arcs.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess it would be like a television season,
Yeah, like a season of television.
Weren't they doing... Who was doing seasons? Like, I feel like a comic was doing like some, title season 1, season 2. I forget. Oh, I know what it was.
What do you think of the new... Oh, what was it?
Oh, it was Smallville digital comic. They continued the story. Yeah.
What do you think of the DC Comics reboot? Alleged.
Oh, Rebirth.
They just had New 52. New 52 was a dumb name, I think, for like the new series of comics, the new continuity. Well, Zero Hour sounded much cooler. Crisis on Infinite Earths sounded much cooler. New 52.
Well, they never called it New 52 like in the comics. Like no character said, "Oh, we're in the New 52 universe," kind of thing. It was more, just our.
What do you think of them rebooting it so soon?
Well, I mean, I think if you're gonna do it now, because a lot of the reason they're doing it when they're doing it is because a lot of the comics that like first started off in the New 52, the ones that are still going, are hitting issue 52. So if you're gonna do it, it makes sense to do it now when most issues hit 52, because then the New 52 sort of becomes like this. It becomes a smaller thing in these comics. Continuity. Yeah, a pocket continuity. And it makes sense if you do it at issue 52. So it's hard to be... Okay, I agree with you. I hate that they keep doing reboots. But I really liked the New 52. When they I liked the costumes. I know a lot of people didn't. And I think that like the best examples of what you could do with something like that was with Wonder Woman and Aquaman. I mean, I didn't really collect too many Aquaman comics. I don't think I really ever collected Wonder Woman, but I did for that reboot, and those were great stories. And I guess it's that jumping on point. It was a way for me to jump on, and I liked what I jumped on too. So I'm not thrilled that the New 52 universe is going away. And again, this is speculation. This is a rumor. Mm-hmm. That's what Rebirth is. The fact that they're calling it Rebirth excites me like a lot, just because I really liked Green Lantern Rebirth. I really liked Flash Rebirth. Using that word alone gives me confidence. I like it more than New 52. So I'm more curious, less apprehensive than maybe most people who hear that. Maybe. I'm looking forward to it.
So do you think they're going to make the comics more like the movies?
That's what I've heard. That's what I've read. It kind of would. I mean, would that mean making Barry Allen, a brunette, and Aquaman, Hawaiian, sort of like Pacific Islander, yeah. No more blondes in the Justice League. I guess that doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
I mean, it was nice to sort of diversify up the looks, but if you're trading that for more like diversity, like having a South Pacific Islander superhero, I guess that is cool. That's cool.
I think it makes more sense for that character.
For Aquaman?
For Aquaman.
Yeah, I mean...
Islander.
Yeah, I mean, they're more connected to water, but it's not Atlantis anymore. Atlantis isn't the Atlantic, I don't know. Well, as long as it's written well, I'll be happy.
Speaking of written well...
Nice segue.
I went to the Marvel Universe live show last night.
That's right.
Which is basically the circus, but with Marvel superheroes. And they told a story. I had a lot of fun. the 8-year-old in me was super excited. Do you remember when we went to the Power Rangers show back when we were kids?
Do I? We went in a limousine because we were...
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I think if I were a kid, I would remember the show for the rest of my life. It was Iron Man. There's something different from between... It's one thing to see a superhero, to read about him in a comic, to look at the comic images. It's another thing to see them on the screen. Like, Iron Man in a movie.
Yeah.
So as big of a leap as that is, when you see Iron Man in real life doing, not just walking around like as a cosplay, but like in Comic-Con, but like shooting repulsors and stuff like that. Well, the way that they did that special effect was lights on the ground. So he'd like hold up his arm and they'd do the sound effect, and they had spectacular sound design on the show. There would be a light on the ground. Yeah, and it would go up, and so the actors would stand on their marks, and the light show would do it, and it looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So as big of a leap from comic to screen, it's the same leap from screen to real life. I had a lot of fun at this show.
So you prefer stage performances to film?
When it comes to superheroes, yes.
Interesting.
Seeing Spider-Man swing was awesome. Seeing like Captain Marvel fly, and when Falcon got his wings. So basically, the story takes heavily from the first Avengers movie, and I'll go through it really quick.
But Spider-Man's in it.
Yes, Spider-Man's in it, Wolverine's in it, Hulk's in it. When Hulk came out, that was awesome. That was an awesome moment.
Do they just have the really stacked actor?
It was a really tall guy in a suit.
Huh.
So they had Bruce Banner, and he was getting beat up by Chitauri, I think. And all of a sudden, he came out. I don't know where he came out from this compartment, and he was the Hulk, and he's 1.5 times the size of anybody else, and everybody in the audience was all the kids were yeah, and I was yeah, and so then he started whomping on people, and he was just punching everybody, and it was a lot of fun. So basically, the story is it starts off with Thor. And he has the Tesseract, the Cosmic Cube, and he smashes it, and it's pretty cool because the cube disappears, and they have a bunch of little twinkling lights that scatter from where he is, and because it's dark,
mm-hmm.
and so you see all the twinkling lights, and then he leaves, and so he shatters the cube so nobody else can use it, can have it,
Mm-hmm.
But Loki comes and he gathers up some of the Cosmic Cube dust. That was a pretty cool effect because all the lights came towards his hand, and then he kind of pulled out this little it was just a little light in his hand. It represented the small fractal of the Cosmic Cube that he was able to create from the dust.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's off to go recreate the rest of the Cosmic Cube. You see Iron Man's hanging out in the Avengers Tower, and Spider-Man is helping him with his science, his experiments and stuff. He's oh hey, yeah, I helped you link up your thing that will help you pull energy from other external sources, whatever. And the actors, they weren't actually using their real voices. All the dialogue was pre-recorded using voice actors.
Mm-hmm.
So the Wolverine, I don't know what the Wolverine actor's name is.
Oh, Wolverine was in it too.
It's the common voice actor that does him in the cartoon series. So yeah. So anyway, so they get word from Nick Fury. Nick Fury is under attack from Chitauri all of a sudden. So him and Spider-Man suit up. That was a sweet little part. Iron Man, he steps onto his platform, a bunch of smoke, and you see sparks, and all of a sudden it's Iron Man, and he has this arc reactor, and it's super bright. When he looks at you, when his chest face.
It's like a spotlight.
Yeah, it's like a spotlight. It's pretty sweet. So they go out. They find Loki, and he's drawing energy from Cyclops, Wolverine, and Storm. He's drawing energy from those 3 mutants to reform his Cosmic Cube. I guess the X gene energy or whatever. They manage to rescue Wolverine, but Loki steals away Storm and Cyclops to still power his new cube. So then Wolverine, and then Iron Man teams up. He calls the rest of the Avengers. So he calls the rest of the Avengers, and Wolverine's there too. Wolverine ends up storming off with the Hulk to go rescue Cyclops and Storm, and then the rest of them form into different teams where they could go get pieces of the original Cosmic Cube to put it together to fight Loki's Cosmic Cube.
Does this story have an ending? Because I guess this is cool.
No, it was cool. Okay, so they break up into three teams. So it's Captain America and Black Widow and Falcon. They team up, and they're basically, their little segment is like a motorcycle stunt show. So they're fighting the Red Skull and Hydra. And Red Skull had a pretty cool, he had a mask on that would like move every time he talked. He looked really, really good.
Huh.
And so that was a motorcycle stunt show. The other team was Spider-Man and Thor. And they were fighting on the Statue of Liberty. They were fighting the Sinister Six. And Green Goblin had his glider and he was flying around, and Spider-Man was like hanging from it and stuff. It was pretty cool. And they fought Lizard and Rhino and Dr. Octopus. And then the third team was Iron Man, Hawkeye, and Captain Marvel, and they fought AIM.
Captain Marvel was in it?
Yes.
Carol Danvers?
Yes.
Sweet.
And the way they did her power effects, it was more like she would go she would throw her hand out like she was shooting her beam, and it would just be like a bit loud pop.
Yeah.
Like a loud explosion where the bad guys were. But she was like throwing people off, like the building thing that they had, and the bad guys, they were extremis agents. They had really cool suits where their skin was like glowing orange, kind of, with like veins, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty cool. And at the end, at the end of that segment, Aldrich Killian, he was on fire, and he was walking around on fire, like the Human Torch, kind of. But he was doing it for a long time, so it was a pretty cool effect. So yeah, that's right. So they fought that, and then they got the cube, and then they fought Loki. And then Wolverine and Hulk came and meet up with them. Bruce Banner turned into the Hulk, and stomped Loki, kind of like in the Avengers movie. And then they got around the edges and did a lot of poses, and it was really cool.
That has to get you excited for the Infinity War, because it sounds like there were a ton of characters in there. And I'm hoping the Infinity War like has like just as many villains as it does heroes. So that, like, hopefully we'll see Red Skull again, and Loki and everything and stuff like that. Just like as many characters as possible. And to have Spider-Man in that universe, I mean, you're not gonna have X-Men in that universe, but
there were people around me who, when they saw the X-Men, because they're all familiar with the Avengers, they were seeing an Avengers show, and then they saw X-Men, they saw Cyclops, Storm, Wolverine, they're like, Storm? They were like confused because they're not used to these characters being part of this world, and so it was.
That's interesting
to see. So I know that's not really Marvel Cinematic Universe news related or comic related, but I think if you have the opportunity, listeners, if the Marvel Universe Live show comes to your area and you don't mind going there without any kids, because I don't have any kids, so I was probably the only adult there without any kids, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I liked it. Anyway.
Cool.
Hey, if there was a DC Universe Live with Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman and Green Lantern and all that with cool effects and sound, would you go to that?
Yes, I would. We're probably, Warner Brothers owns DC, and they own Six Flags, so I saw something like that.
Oh, you did?
It wasn't the whole Justice League, though. It was just a Batman show, and that was kind of corny. It was like based off Batman Forever.
Oh.
So, yeah. But just like in terms of like having like this cool, or like, all these characters in one like event, one show.
Yeah.
I'm going to segue into Legends of Tomorrow. Because that was cool. Seeing all those characters together, Firestorm, Atom, Captain Cold, Heatwave, Hawkman, Hawkgirl, White Canary. It debuted on the 21st, 2 days after the DC special, and I don't want to go too much into it because it's still kind of fresh. I don't want to get into spoilers. Mm-hmm. It was It was a 2-part pilot, but it took place over a week. So the first part of the pilot was on the 21st. Second part of the pilot debuted just a few days ago. There is a character who dies. I'm not going to say who. It's pretty upsetting to me.
One of the main characters?
Yep. Yeah. Just to like set stakes like right off the bat.
Yeah.
And
it was Heatwave, wasn't it?
No, it was not Heat. That's who I thought it was going to be. I thought they were going to like set any kind of stakes. It was going to be Heatwave.
It's either Heatwave or it's Hawkman.
I'm not going to say who it is. Damn it, Joseph. But no, the show special effects are pretty good. I think the highlight of the show is Brandon Routh as the Atom.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a good actor. Special effects for that character is really cool. And I almost like the Atom from the TV show more than I do the Atom from the comic.
Really?
Yeah.
In terms of,
he's like an Iron Man who could shrink. And Brandon Routh, he's just a good actor. He has a lot of charm. Whereas like Ray Palmer has sort of been like a blank slate. He's not. I don't know.
he doesn't have a lot of character.
Right.
He's just a smart guy.
Right. Exactly. So Brandon Routh has that plus the charm, plus this really cool suit, and like pieces of it like are like constantly moving, and it's just a really cool suit, really cool special effects. The storyline was all right. I don't think it's as good as The Flash, and which and I still really like Arrow. I hated season 3 of Arrow, but Arrow is picking up. I still liked Legions of Tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes, I guess.
It's really hard to base the level of, like, as far as the cheese factor goes, that can come from the characters just not being sure of their roles yet. I think the first few episodes of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were cheesier than they are now. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is very much not, I don't think it's a cheesy show at all right now.
I mean, the same could be said for like Arrow and Flash. I think once you understand the characters and once the writers are able to do more with that, then that's when the show gets really good. Season 2 of Arrow was so good, and I it's the same writers on Legends of Tomorrow, so okay. I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna keep watching the show. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Well, there have been 3 episodes of Agent Carter so far, but I've only seen 2
of the new season, right?
Of the new season of Agent Carter, and I think it's pretty good. I think what part of the appeal of what made the first season of Agent Carter so good was the fact that it took place in New York and really had that 1950s feel to it. And so when moving her to Los Angeles kind of takes you out of that. But I think that the kind of weirdness of that I felt of the setting will kind of go away once Howard Stark comes back into the picture. I don't know if he shows up in episode 3.
I do not understand why the show exists.
It's that's a valid question. It is a good show. Basically, it's the story of, if you take away all the superhero references, it's the story of an underdog who is extremely adept, who is still a second-class citizen, basically. She's very much looked down on, no matter how well she does. The action is good in the movie. I mean, in the series. It's just the writing, basically. It's really good writing. She's a great character. And all the kind of superhero references where you see the Marvel Universe kind of taking shape. That's kind of like the icing on the cake.
I guess I shouldn't say I don't understand why it exists, because it's good to have a show with like a female-centric character who's like, a spy and strong. I just don't understand, like, as a Marvel fan, am I interested in this? I have no interest in seeing it. I've never seen it, but why?
You never saw the first Captain America movie?
I've seen enough of it. I've seen enough of it to be able to recognize that the new Wonder Woman film is definitely drawing from it.
Oh, whatever. The appeal is there. I mean, Peggy Carter was, in the Golden Age comics. She found did she found the V Battalion?
The V Battalion?
No.
Oh, isn't that Citizen V?
Citizen V was okay. Never mind. That's British. That was like the British Shield. She was not Citizen V, but she was kind of like the female Citizen V in that she was like a marksman and she fought in the war and everything.
Mm-hmm. That's super obscure reference. I've totally forgot about Citizen V from Marvel. He's a Marvel Comics character.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. But yeah, okay. So that's the appeal. It's basically a second-class citizen who is extremely adept, and goes on adventures that are kind of taking place as the Marvel Universe is unfolding, and it's really good. It's a good show. Critics and fans both like it. Despite the fact there was no demand for this show, it is a pleasant surprise that it is good.
They keep talking about like oversaturation of like Marvel of movies, of film. Do you think there's going to be an oversaturation of superhero TV shows? Because they just announced, what was it? So there's going to be a new Marvel TV show.
Marvel's Most Wanted.
Yeah. The CW just announced, I think, today that they're doing an Archie. I mean, it's not...
Really?
DC Comics just kind of took over that universe, so they're starting to publish like Scooby-Doo and stuff like that. So I think they're... CW is kind of becoming like DC TV.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think there is an oversaturation when it comes to television. Not Netflix, because Netflix you have the choice of watching whatever you want to. But when it comes to network television, I think audiences will only tolerate so much superhero fare. I think. So I think they should kind of. I don't even know if they should release Marvel's Most Wanted. I feel like there's no demand for that, but it may end up like an Agent Carter thing, where it's good. And Agent Carter actually is just a miniseries. That's how it was with the last season. It's only 6 episodes.
Oh, nope. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That was a full...
Same thing with this one. It's only 6 episodes.
Interesting.
So I think, they're doing a good job of kind of scaling that part down. They're hour-long episodes, though. It's a lot of story. It's good. It's good. I think if you stretched it out to a whole season, people might get tired of it, but I think Marvel is smart in what they're doing with Agent Carter.
Cool.
And DC might want to take note, too, with their Archie things.
DC doesn't need any advice from Marvel when it comes to TV shows, because DC's killing it right now.
Maybe they should do that with Supergirl. I don't know.
Supergirl's...
Do you think it's weird that Supergirl is not the same universe as Flash and Arrow? And also, second part to the question, do you think it's weird that those TV universes are not part of the cinematic universe, like Marvel's is?
We don't know yet if Supergirl is part of that same universe. There's speculation that Grant Gustinson, the actor who plays Barry Allen in The Flash, is going to make an appearance as the Flash, as his character in Supergirl later on this season. So I think they are in the same universe. Because CBS owns half of CW. So, and as for being a part of the cinematic universe, the extended universe, I'm a little disappointed that because I think what's the actor's name? Oh gosh, Steve Amell. Steve, is it Steve?
Yeah.
Amell. He's a great Green Arrow, and Grant Gustinson is a great Flash, and now the actors who play these characters, even Supergirl, are really good. So yeah, it's kind of disappointing in that sense. But I think of it, and I think Jeff Johns has hinted at this, that it's the multiverse. And they go into that in The Flash. There's no multiverse in The Flash. So I just consider them, different universes.
But do you think,
in the multiverse,
the Flash TV show is taking all the good Flash moments, like everything that you see in the new Flash movie, is going to feel so much like deja vu? I'm concerned. I'm afraid the Flash movie is not going to be as good as the TV show. That's my fear. But I mean, we'll have to. The special effects are going to be much better. I'm definitely interested in how they display speed, because I think that's something that it's ever since Smallville. It's just like this blur. Mm-hmm. When you saw, I think the greatest display of speed was in X-Men: Days of Future Past. Just that scene with Quicksilver and everything slow motion was great. You don't even see the character when he's moving fast. When they're not doing the slow motion thing, things just happen. It looks like he's teleporting.
Almost.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. I don't know how they're going to do it in the movie, but I hope it's unique. I hope it's something we've never seen before. Like you were just saying. If it's something we've never seen before, then I think it works.
when it comes to Quicksilver, I thought the portrayal of his powers in Avengers: Age of Ultron was better than in Days of Future Past. I felt like, because Quicksilver's, when I generally think of him, and I know his powers have ebbed and flowed throughout the years, sometimes he's been faster, but I generally think of his top end as being around the speed of sound. So he was moving much faster than that in Days of Future Past, and the character in that movie reminded me much more of Wally West than of Quicksilver.
Yeah, that's probably true.
When I think of Quicksilver moving, I think of it as a very forceful, kind of like when he spins around and creating cyclones. Even though the Flash does that, I think he's a very forceful type of movement.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'll tear up the ground kind of as he runs, and he's not kind of like some kind of like delicate kind of like he can run up to a bullet and just move it slightly. Like if he runs up to a bullet and like touches it, like it's gonna ricochet or something,
Mm-hmm.
So I liked Quicksilver in Avengers: Age of Ultron more. I felt like it was more true to the character.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good take on Quicksilver. Yeah. I think.
Okay, so I think
is that all the news?
That might be all the news. Let me go ahead and look at my outline again here real quick. Quick little tidbits. Spider-Man film was moved up a couple of weeks,
which is cool.
No
that's
biggie.
Cool.
Just get to see him that much sooner. That's pretty cool. So it's gonna be on 4th of July weekend though. So
makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. The one of the writers from Jessica Jones is joining the Iron Fist show, which is good because I love Jessica Jones.
I have yet to see Jessica Jones.
Gotta do it, man. It's really good. As good as Daredevil.
They're doing a new Justice League action cartoon on Cartoon Network. It's 15-minute episodes. Mark Hamill is returning as the Joker, which is cool.
That's cool.
What else?
I think that's it. Okay. All right. So that means we're going to our very first Battlecast, where we discuss who would win in a fight between a DC character and a Marvel character. And in the last episode, we stated that we would be discussing who would win in a fight between Batman and Moon Knight.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and go over the character profiles and get into who we think will win and discuss exactly how the fight, how we set up, how we determine the winner.
Okay. Do you want to start with Moon Knight? Who is Moon Knight?
Moon Knight. Okay, so Moon Knight is Mark Spector. To me, the best way to describe Moon Knight is if Tyler Durden were Batman.
Tyler Durden or Jack?
Edward Norton's character.
Yeah, okay.
Kinda. But he also has, basically Moon Knight has multiple personality disorder. I think now it's called dissociative identity disorder, although that may or not be true. According to recent comics, it may just be the aspect, the god being inside of his brain and his brain dealing with it as a human brain would.
What god?
Khonshu, the Egyptian god of vengeance, the moon.
The Egyptian god of the moon is the same as the Egyptian god of vengeance?
Yeah.
Cool.
So basically, Mark Spector grew up. He's part of a Jewish family, and his desire to become a fighter kind of stemmed out of his sentiments about the Holocaust, about how he felt like he should fight instead of run, and so he became he was part of the CIA, and then he became a mercenary after leaving the CIA, and he was attacked by his partner during a job in Egypt and left to die, and he was in an Egyptian tomb where a statue of the Egyptian god of Khonshu resurrected him basically and made him his champion. Now there are two theories exactly about what happened here. One is that the supernatural aspect of his origin is true, and that he was resurrected by a spiritual deity. And the other theory is that him dying made him go crazy because of a lack of oxygen to the brain, and he was resuscitated by himself, came back, and the lack of oxygen kind of made him go crazy. So when one of his powers is that he gets stronger as the moon waxes and goes back to normal strength as the moon wanes. So he's strongest during a full moon. Now, is that because of the Egyptian god Khonshu? Or is that because...
Is something psychological?
Is it psychological? Because he's crazy. So, the jury's still out. They haven't given a definitive answer whether he's crazy or whether he is spiritual. Or a spiritual hero, I guess. Or a champion of the spiritual deity. So, that's what's interesting about the character. He's, in terms of his powers and everything... besides the strength, he's very much like Batman. He's rich from his days as a mercenary, and
but he's a millionaire. He's not like a billionaire like Batman.
Right. Yeah. He's not a billionaire. He has a pilot named Frenchie who flies his sometimes it's a jet, sometimes it's a helicopter. Everything's moon themed. I think he's pretty cool. He plays upon his theme of the moon better, I think, than Batman plays upon the theme of bats. Like, he has his moon batterings.
Like, moon batterings.
His moon darts.
Moonerangs.
And he has gloves with spikes called a cestus. And he also has a truncheon, a baton kind of thing.
But what does that have to do with the moon?
That part doesn't. But his cape is in the shape of a crescent moon, which he uses to glide and everything. And because of that, and he has like a silvery outfit, sometimes black, but most commonly silvery, and it just looks cool.
It's a great aesthetic. It's similar to, like, I think Silver Surfer. I don't know. There's just something about this. I would say Moon Knight even looks cooler than Silver Surfer, just because of like the hood and the cape.
Yeah, it's like a white ninja. His truncheon can break into nunchuck, which he uses. So, that's pretty much Moon Knight. He's been an Avenger over the years, although he preferably prefers to work alone.
Mm-hmm.
In more recent years, they have kind of played with his different identities, where he's dropped some and have been able to pick up others, and at times he's been Spider-Man.
What?
Where he thought he was Spider-Man.
Oh gosh.
He dressed up in the Spider-Man outfit, and he thought he was Spider-Man and everything. So it's kind of like a blank slate type of personality, where he's able to adopt personalities of the people he meets.
I don't. Right off the bat, I have to say I don't like the idea of Moon Knight, and it's probably just because, okay, I guess it's cool to have someone represent the mental health community, or people with mental health problems. He may not actually
be mentally crazy in the medical sense of the word. It's
crazy, the medical term, crazy.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, it's psychopathic, I guess. It may just be the fact that he's dealing with an Egyptian god in his head.
Is he a psychopath? Does he kill?
He does kill, yeah.
So he's like the Punisher?
Not in the sense that he'll like mow guys down with an automatic assault rifle, although I'm sure he would. He's not as crazy as Punisher or Daredevil. Well, I mean, okay.
Daredevil's crazy?
I'm not Daredevil, I meant Deadpool.
Okay.
He plays it straight most of the time. Think of Tyler Durden. Think of Edward Norton's character. I mean, he's very straightforward in his... He can feel very much like Batman.
But why does he need that disorder? Is it just because Marvel wants to... Marvel always has to inject these flaws into their characters. So it's like, what flaw hasn't been used yet? Well, multiple personality disorder.
I don't think he needs the disorder. And in a lot of stories, it doesn't come into play that much.
From my understanding, it's just sort of like a matches Malone thing, right? Like, Batman has his...
right.
When he needs to go, like, undercover, he uses a character called Matches Malone.
Yeah, and Moon Knight has Jake Lockley. That's his taxi cab driver personality.
I think my favorite version of Moon Knight... Again, you expressed how much you liked Earth X in the last podcast episode.
Yes.
And I haven't read Universe X, but my understanding was that Moon Knight appeared in there, but it's more of like a mummy take on the character, which is awesome. I think that makes sense.
Because of the Egyptian
angle, yeah.
Yeah, well, in that story, they revealed him. Now, this isn't continuity, but it's fun to think about. This is a third theory on his powers. in that Moon Knight is a ghost. And he wasn't resurrected.
Really?
But he in kind of like the way the moon reflects the light of the sun, he is kind of reflecting the light of being alive, kind of. And so he's a ghost.
That is so cool. I wish that was continuity. There's so much stuff that Alex Ross does that I wish was continuity.
Well, Alex Ross didn't write that, but...
He didn't? I thought he did.
No, Jim Krueger did.
Oh.
But, yeah, I mean, that's another that's another possibility with the character. So he may not even be able to die because he's already dead.
Because he's a ghost.
Which is why he's been resurrected. So
that would be really cool. It would explain like more of his look, just being all white. Because that's another thing I never liked about Moon Knight.
And his last name is Spectre, Mark Spectre,
right,
Ghost, which means ghost.
Right. So. He's supposed to be like this stealthy crime fighter, like Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he's Batman in a white suit. Why would you wear a white silvery suit when you're fighting crime at night? Gosh.
Hey, anybody can fight crime in a black suit. It takes a pure badass to wear, something reflective and shiny.
But he's not even like a pure badass,
or white. Sometimes it's just white. Sometimes it's silver. But yeah, he's just a badass. That's who he is. I'm telling you, he is the Fight Club of superheroes. The Tyler Durden.
I still don't.
He gets his ass kicked all the time. Actually,
I don't understand that appeal. So he's not a badass. He's like, I'm going to wear this white suit and go and get my ass kicked.
He's a badass in that. Okay, he does get his ass kicked a lot, just from my perspective in the comics that I've read, like from Black Spectre and things like that. However, he has a super high pain threshold. Like when you see, like in the Fight Club movie, when Tyler Durden is kicking Edward Norton's kicking the crap out of himself, and he's putting himself through all this pain and torture. He kind of has a high pain threshold, and it's elevated maybe due to his powers or due to his mental condition. But yeah, it's kind of like that. He's badass. He can take a lot of beating, and he dishes out even more. All his weapons, by the way, are also adamantium.
What?
Yeah.
Where did he get the adamantium weapons from?
He's rich.
So any millionaire could just buy adamantium weapons?
He can.
That's...
If you're a superhero. Yeah, his moon darts are adamantium.
It would make sense like if he got them from like Black Panther or something like that. But the fact that he's just able to buy them just because of the fact of being a millionaire. Any mercenary who has made millions would have adamantium weaponry, which would make it much less special.
No, he has contacts and resources in a way that others don't.
Other badass mercenaries don't have those same contacts. Lame. I call lame.
You're just jealous because Batman's batarangs are not adamantium. Anyway, I think that's it for Moon Knight. If you want to go to Batman real quick.
Okay, so Batman, you don't know. They could be promethium.
They're not.
You don't know that.
They're not.
They could be promethium. Promethium is sort of like DC's adamantium.
Yeah.
So Batman. Everyone knows Batman's story. He was... a young child, his parents were murdered in front of him, and he vowed to avenge them. He went around training to physical and mental perfection, studying, all types of sciences and martial arts, mastering all of them, coming back to his home of Gotham City, which is highly corrupt, and there's a large criminal element there. And he was inspired by a childhood fear of a bat, which crashed into his window on his return to Gotham City, to take up that symbol and use it to fight crime. He's probably the most dedicated character in all of comics, and one of the two top characters in DC. Everyone knows that. He's a billionaire. He plays his Bruce Wayne character sort of... Batman is sort of like an urban legend in the DC universe among the criminal element, because criminals are like a superstitious, cowardly lot, so they sort of see him as like being more like demonic and monstrous than what he actually is. It's almost like theater, deception. What was it? Would they say in what was that line in Batman Begins? Theatricality and deception are powerful agents, or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it's sort of like taking that theme and using it to strike fear into his enemies, and he's sort of that archetype, the archetype of this fearful, vengeful, like gargoyle creature.
I think Batman has more in common with Moon Knight than you think, because Bruce Wayne himself is almost an act, a different persona.
Yeah.
And, matches Malone.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. Like, Bruce Wayne is Batman. Bruce Wayne, his playboy persona, billionaire playboy, is the act. But he does it not because he has a multiple personality disorder. He does it to protect his character of Batman. Yeah. And matches,
I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm just saying,
Yeah, okay, Batman is, like, crazy to an extent, because what kind of guy would go through all of this just, he suffered this, traumatic, having your parents killed in front of you at a young age, highly traumatic. He definitely did not walk out unscathed mentally.
And Moon Knight's traumatic incident was his near-death experience.
I guess that's traumatic, but I mean,
of course it is.
I guess getting the shit kicked out of you, it's not going to be like, oh my gosh, I have to dedicate my life to, like, this cause. It's like, I'm hurt. No.
He died.
I guess he died. That's the thing, we don't know. Is he just insane? Is he actually...
Moon Knight definitely died, and that either caused the craziness due to the oxygen loss.
Right.
Or he was resurrected by Khonshu.
Well, then how did he come back to life if it was just the oxygen loss? Deprivation.
Well, it's happened before. People... Like, what is death? If you define it, it's... He can still have brain activity, but, like, his heart can stop beating. But then...
So what rebooted his heart? If it wasn't the goddess. Or goddess?
It's a god.
God, okay. So Batman. Not only is he one of the smartest guys in the DC universe, like in the top 3, he's also the best fighter. Like, definitely, like, in the top 3 as well. So I don't... taking that into account... Moon Knight definitely isn't the smartest or one of the best fighters in his universe, in the Marvel universe. He's not
a good fighter.
Not the best fighter. He doesn't have access to as wide of an array of weaponry and tools as Batman. Moon Knight's definitely more of like a weapon types person, but Batman's definitely more of a gadgeteer, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And
Moon Knight has very few gadgets. They're mostly weapons.
Weapons, yeah. Bruce Wayne's a billionaire. Comparing that to Moon Knight's millions, this is no contest. This battle totally goes to Batman.
I disagree. Moon Knight is certainly more lethal than Batman.
What? No. Okay. No. Batman chooses not to be lethal. He can be lethal. He's probably the most lethal person on the planet. He's definitely capable of that. So you can't say that, like, Moon Knight is more lethal. Just because Moon Knight kills more guys doesn't make him more dangerous than Batman.
Does it?
Yeah.
I would say the Punisher is more dangerous than Batman. Because he kills people.
Batman's the most capable, like, human specimen in all of comics. Like, if he wanted to be more lethal than the Punisher or more lethal than Moon Knight, he could be. You can't, like, discredit him for not, like, killing or something like that, because however lethal or anything like that someone is, Batman could be more so. He could be, like, he's the peak of human perfection.
Gross.
What?
I don't know. Just the way you said that, I don't know.
Joseph gets sexual with it right away.
Okay. I disagree. I do not think he can be more lethal than Moon Knight. All of Moon Knight's weapons, or not all of them, I guess the nunchucks can be used non-lethally and anything, but everything else is, the adamantium moon darts. Those will kill you really easily.
Yeah, so can a batarang. Just right to the jugular.
Batman does not have, like, the cestus, which are basically brass knuckles with spikes on them. You know, those things will kill you as he's punching you.
Well, I've seen Batman have, like, he has, like, these bat axes. Do you remember the movie, like, it was a short film, Batman Dead End, where Batman fights...
Yeah, by Sandy Color.
Yeah, by Sandy...
He fought
Predator and Alien.
Yeah, he has the...
he has, like, those battle axes, like, almost... They're
like hand axes. Without a handle, like the handles on the center. Yeah.
And I've seen him use those against, like,
I forgot
creatures who... Those are cool. He should use them more often. Yeah. Against, like, creatures who, like, are undead or, like, robots or, you know, stuff like that. Like parademons, you know?
Uh-huh. Okay, so... Okay, I will concede the fact that Batman, all of the weapons and items that Moon Knight has, Batman has. I will say that the moon darts are more lethal than Batman's batarangs, although I don't know what his batarangs are made out of. There is an element that you may not have considered, which is Moon Knight's personality. I think he is loads more unpredictable, and Batman will not be able to kind of fight him in the same way that he fights other martial artists. He'll be put more on the defensive more often than you would probably assume.
Are you comparing, like, Moon Knight to the Joker? How, like, Batman can't be crazy?
A little bit, yeah.
But Batman can beat the Joker, that's the thing.
Yeah, but Joker is not as well versed in fighting as Moon Knight is. In hand-to-hand combat, I should say. Right?
So that's your argument. Can't beat crazy.
That's my trump card. That's my trump card.
I mean, I think Batman's been around the world. He's seen it all.
And plus, Moon Knight has greater strength. If we're assuming this...
But during a full moon...
Yeah, but the only time he's at normal strength is during a new moon. And, you know, that's 1 out of every 30 days. We have to assume that he's stronger than Batman, 90% of the time. I'm not going to do the math on that.
I was
29 out of 30.
Trying to do
whatever percentage that is.
Yeah.
Should I do that real quick?
Yeah. How strong does he get during a full moon?
96.66 repeating percent of the time he's strong. Well, he's able to lift a ton, I believe.
1 ton?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's a lot. I shouldn't. 1 ton. It's more than I could lift.
Or 4 tons. Let me.
But the thing is, Batman goes up against strong guys all the time. Guys who are probably stronger than that. You look at Killer Croc. You look at Solomon Grundy. I've seen... well, I guess this was stupid and this actually made me upset. But I've seen Batman go up against Darkseid.
What?
Yeah, it was stupid. I shouldn't even use that as a thing. But, I mean, Batman's strength has never been, like, a hindrance to Batman. He finds ways around it because he's, literally the smartest guy in the room. I don't think Moon Knight's strength will be much of a factor.
I just double-checked it. It's 2 tons.
2 tons. That's
pretty good.
That's admirable.
Yeah. So, do you think that between his unpredictability, his mental state, his enhanced strength, I think that is enough to overcome any intelligence?
Absolutely not. Batman goes up against crazy... Batman's rogues gallery, all crazy. They're all unpredictable. He goes up against unpredictable foes and strong foes all the time.
Right.
Intelligence, it's always mind over matter. Always.
Okay. Well, I don't think we're going to come to agreement to this on ourselves.
No.
So, what we do in the Battlecast, if you've ever seen the television show Deadliest Warrior on Spike TV,
yeah, it's a good
show. I don't
show.
think it's still on.
Is it?
I haven't watched it in years.
Yeah, I don't think it's on.
But what they would do is they would pit warriors in history against each other, such as a Spartan versus a ninja. They would take statistics from these warriors and put them into... calculate them into an algorithm using the Monte Carlo method. It's all very mathematical, and eventually they'd run 1,000 simulations of battle and come out with a winner.
And that's what we're going to do.
And that's pretty much what we're doing right now. So what we did is gathering statistics from the official Marvel power grids.
Yeah.
Not really going off the fan votes because those are ridiculous.
Oh gosh, yeah.
every fan wants every character to be so overpowered for those fan votes.
Yeah.
But so we're going off of Marvel's rankings, and we're using that grid system to base DC's statistics off of.
Right.
As well as adding our own statistics, such as endurance and sensory or psychic input. So then we use these figures and put them into an algorithm that compares the numbers and simulates 1,000 matches through the Monte Carlo method, similar to, again, Deadliest Warrior. So I have everything set up here, and if we want to go ahead and
run the simulations,
we'll figure out who comes out on top, and we'll discuss what happens. So
go ahead and go.
It's calculating right now, and I'm using the what is it called? The Risk Solver add-on
to Google Sheets.
To Google Sheets to do this, and that'll basically simulate Monte Carlo systems for you. So in doing that, we have a winner.
Oh, did it finish?
It did finish. So it looks like Batman wins.
Woo! I knew it.
68.5% of the time.
68.5?
68, so about 2/3 of the time,
huh.
Batman will win, and 1/3 of the time, Moon Knight will win. And it looks like the key differentiators in the battle is that Batman is much smarter, despite the fact that Moon Knight will occasionally overcome using his strength and heightened endurance and durability. Batman is still slightly a better fighter and basically has a better arsenal.
Nice.
So,
nice.
As much as it pains me to say it,
Batman is the champion.
Like Batman wins in a fight against Moon Knight 2/3 of the time. Well, we'll just say he's the champion. What do you say?
Oh yeah, he is the champion. He wins more often than Moon Knight. Like, what percentage does have? I mean, I guess that's a D, but D's get degrees. So yeah, it's not. I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, if you Marvel fans out there have anything to say about that, go ahead and contact us at DC Marvel Battle.
That's right.
On Twitter,
our Twitter has changed. In the first podcast, we said it was at DC Marvel Battlecast. I guess that was too long for Twitter, so it's at DC Marvel Battle.
Yes.
You could comment there. You could comment on our SoundCloud account, and let us know what you think of the results. If you're a DC guy and you totally knew that Batman was going to win, feel free to gloat, because it's painfully obvious that Batman wins everything.
And if you want to go ahead and chime in and explain why you think Moon Knight should win more than 1/3 of the time, go ahead and let us know as well. And
Stats don't lie.
We'll continue the debate.
Stats don't lie.
So I think that does it for this episode.
Follow us on Twitter. Email us at dcmarvelbattlecast@gmail.com.
Yep.
If you want to contact us, go ahead and feel free to submit suggestions for future battles. Do we know what our next one's going to be? I don't think we do.
Our next Battlecast? No, we haven't decided that yet.
Yeah, so send us your suggestions.
Yeah, but next week's episode, we're not doing a Battlecast. We're going to be reviewing the movie Deadpool.
That's right. And we may have a guest speaker. Possibly. I haven't found out yet.
All right. We'll see. Anyway, thank you for tuning in again. Hopefully we get on iTunes within the week. They haven't got back to us yet, but we'll see how that goes. Until then, continue enjoying us on SoundCloud, and we hope to see you in a couple of weeks.
Up, and away!
Believers.